Wood is, one of humanity's oldest building materials, yet it has always carried a single deadly vulnerability: rot. Across centuries, entire structures and naval fleets have crumbled or sunk simply because the wood was unprotected against decay. But long before modern preservatives or chemical treatments, certain civilizations discovered methods to make wood almost impervious to time. What they achieved was nothing short of extraordinary, a form of preservation so effective that examples have survived over 1,000 years. Today, we're uncovering the secret behind the 1,000-year wood trick that made rot impossible, and how you can understand and even apply aspects of it in modern projects. The oldest surviving wood was preserved for a reason. Archaeologists and historians have long marvelled at the endurance of wood from ancient structures, particularly in northern Europe and East Asia. Viking ships from over 1,000 years ago, wooden temples in Japan, and even waterlogged boards from medieval bridges often show little sign of decay. The key wasn't some mystical property of the wood itself. Instead, it came down to preparation and treatment, techniques rooted in careful selection, natural oils, and exposure to controlled environmental conditions. One method involved choosing the right type of wood. Hardwoods like oak, larch and teak are naturally dense and contain high levels of tannins and resins, compounds that inhibit fungal growth. Vikings, for instance, preferentially used oak for shipbuilding because of its tight grain and natural resistance to water. Similarly, Japanese carpenters relied on Japanese cypress and cedar for temples, knowing that their oils would act as natural preservatives for centuries. But selecting the right wood was only the beginning. How ancient civilizations treated wood to resist rot is, a fascinating story. The 1,000-year wood trick hinged on combining wood selection with careful preparation. One of the most famous historical methods was submersion in water or treatment with natural resins. Timber destined for long-term use was often partially submerged in running water, allowing tannins to permeate deeply. This process essentially pre-stabilized the wood, making it much less vulnerable to the fungi and insects that typically cause decay. In addition, civilizations discovered that natural oils and resins could form a barrier that blocked moisture penetration. Linseed oil, pine tar and various plant resins were applied repeatedly to beams, boards and planks. This not only hardened the wood but also created a hostile environment for decay organisms. The Japanese, for example, coated their temples with multiple layers of camphor oil and lacquer, a method still respected today for its preservation power. Even in Europe, tarred ship timbers were renowned for lasting hundreds of years, despite constant exposure to seawater. Even the hardest, best-treated wood will eventually rot if moisture is uncontrolled. Ancient builders understood this and engineered structures to manage water. Viking ships featured overlapping planks sealed with pitch. Japanese temples were elevated on stone platforms to prevent ground moisture from contacting the wood. These subtle engineering choices worked in tandem with preservation treatments to extend the life of wooden structures dramatically. In practical terms, this principle can be applied today. For example, if constructing a long-lasting wooden deck or outdoor shelter using dense hardwoods treated with natural oils and elevating the structure off damp ground can significantly extend its lifespan. Even simple steps like ensuring water runoff or airflow around beams can replicate the centuries-old wisdom of these historic builders. How you can apply the 1,000-year wood trick today. Modern survivalists, woodworkers and historians can extract several practical lessons from these ancient methods. First, start with wood selection. Hardwoods, a naturally oily species, are inherently more durable. Second, consider natural preservative treatments. Linseed oil, tung oil and pine tar are all accessible and effective at creating a barrier against rot. Third, remember that moisture control is essential. When building long-term outdoor structures, design them to shed water and avoid contact with wet soil. Even stacking firewood off the ground in a covered ventilated location borrows from the same centuries-old principles. For those interested in hands-on experimentation, you can try submerging small sections of hardwood in water for several weeks before drying and oiling them. This mimics the historical soaking techniques and improves durability, especially in conditions prone to dampness. Combined with surface coatings of natural resins, these steps can produce wood that lasts decades or even centuries with minimal maintenance. Why history's engineers understood preservation better than we often realize. What makes the 1,000-year wood trick remarkable is not just the longevity of the materials, but the sophistication behind the methods. These techniques were developed through observation, trial, and necessity. Societies without modern chemistry still understood the biological and environmental factors that lead to decay and learned to mitigate them with careful preparation. Whether it was the tarred hulls of a Viking longship, the lacquered beams of a Japanese temple, or the resin-treated bridge planks of medieval Europe, the goal was the same: survival of the structure across generations. These lessons are still relevant for anyone seeking durability and efficiency in woodworking, survival shelters, or even historical reconstructions. In conclusion, the 1,000-year wood trick is a testament to human ingenuity. By combining smart material choices, natural preservatives, and moisture management, ancient civilizations achieved a level of durability that modern wood treatments still aspire to match. For survivalists, historians, and practical builders, these methods provide invaluable insight into creating wood structures that withstand the test of time. Applying even a fraction of this knowledge today can transform simple timber into a resilient, long-lasting asset. If you found this guide useful, make sure to subscribe to In the Beginning and share it with fellow history enthusiasts. There are countless more lost survival secrets, forgotten technologies, and historical hacks waiting to be uncovered, and you won't want to miss a single one.